In this video, I just want to go ahead and push up our code that we've written to our staging server and see about how we can connect through the launcher and get updates to the launcher and all that fun stuff. Kind of finally bringing a full sort of development environment full swing back into what we did with the auto updater and have it include the stuff we've just put together. Just making sure that everything still works and that we can continue to develop our application and be able to deploy. So after this video, we'll pretty much be ready to start putting together some other things with our framework, test them within our unit testing framework, and also make sure that we can properly publish them to our staging environment. So I will go ahead and open up SourceTree. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't actually recall if I committed after I did the last video. So let me go ahead and make sure that, all that stuff is committed. So right now it's just kind of sitting there, not doing anything. No, I did not commit. Of course I didn't commit. Let's go ahead and make sure we commit that. So let's go ahead and stage all these files. And then I'm going to say something like, what did we do in the last video? I think we did the Unity implementation. So Unity client implementation. And then I'm going to push changes immediately to origin master. Now, actually, what I do want to do here before we jump into Team City and see if our build process still works is I definitely want to go in and fix the issue with our configuration. So jumping back into Unity, we have our code and we have our game context. So I'll open that up here. And what I want to do here is I want to make sure that when we actually do a real standalone build, that it's going to point to the correct server to log into. Now, I actually have an idea about how to handle actual configuration files. Oh, see, it did it. See? I hate that. What you're seeing right here is Visual Studio launched, but it launched and it grabbed the file that I clicked on, but it didn't open the Unity project. If this happens to you, if you can see the Solution Explorer and you don't see your Unity project here, just close Visual Studio out and then launch it again by double-clicking on the file. And now we see that we are loading the project. Anyway, so yeah, I do want to do some sort of configuration thing in the future. It's not a super high priority right now. Maybe if I come up with an easy way to do that, we can do that in the next video. Otherwise, we'll be jumping on to finishing out the implementation of the framework. But either way, we have the start method and it connects to either our local host or to something else if we are not in a Unity editor. So what is that something else? Well, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my virtual machine that contains my production environment, and I'm going to find out its IP address. And it's going to be 127.128. And I'm just going to grab that. And that's the IP address I'm going to use. So this isn't a permanent solution, having these IP addresses hard-coded within C#. It's a very ugly solution, I think, but it'll serve us for now. And when we get an actual configuration system put together, we'll migrate over to something a little bit more sensible. But at this point, we're just going to type in the IP addresses directly. Because at this point, this is really the only configuration value that we even care about. So we'll just use the preprocessor to handle that. Anyway, now that we've done that, let's make sure we go back into SourceTree and we update the update this and say updated production server IP address, and we push changes immediately to origin master. Make sure that's checked. Make sure we have everything pushed up. You can see that up here in SourceTree. If we hadn't had everything pushed up by now, there would have been a red number right here. So make sure everything is up to date on origin. Origin being Bitbucket in this particular example. Anyway, now that we've done that, I think we're ready to see what happens when we do a build. This is actually kind of scary because we haven't done a build in so long. I'm going to go ahead and fire up Team City on my end. I can't remember the port. Oh, this is not good. Did I do 84? Or no, I think I did 81, didn't I? Actually, I think I have that in my host file, don't I? Let's see here. I think I did MMO star 84. There we go. Let's just give this a second to spool up Team City, and I'll move the window over into the... There we go. So here is our Team City. So basically, we're going to want to deploy pretty much everything. So we're going to want to deploy the client, the launcher, the Photon servers, and the website. I'll start by doing the website. So we'll run this build. And we'll wait forever. Well, 33 seconds exactly. But yeah, I am really excited about the idea of putting together a proper build configuration system within our project, similar to what we've done with web configs. Basically, what I'm thinking of is having a base config file that's just a JSON file, and then being able to override individual aspects of those of that configuration file based off what situation we're compiling in, or what environment we're compiling in. The trick with that is going to be, I don't want the configuration files, the overrides, to exist in the Unity project for builds that aren't related to that configuration. So for what I'm saying is like, let's say we build out the Unity client. I don't want the overrides for production and development to exist in the Unity project if we're building for development, for example. And the reason for that is it should be pretty straightforward. We don't want people to be able to open up and decompile our Unity build and find the configuration values for everything within it. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to do that. A possible solution would be to use Unity's build pipeline, but unfortunately that's a pro-only feature. So I'm thinking of having some sort of external tool that's ran during the build process, what we see here in Team City, that actually performs the configuration transform. It'd be a really interesting thing to put together too, because you know, we would have our base JSON file and all that fun stuff, and we have an error, of course we do. Okay, so this is how you debug errors. I'm going to go to tree view, and I'm going to see that where we failed is right here, because I hard-coded the IP address, because of course I did. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, so this is how we fix it. You guys shouldn't have to do this on your end. The only reason I have to do it is I recently formatted and reinstalled my computer, reinstalled VMware, and my testing server got a different IP address. This isn't an optimal way to handle this either, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, build scripts are very, very dependent on your environment anyway, so I'm not that... Or actually here, web deploy computer is actually a parameter. Oh yeah, it's a parameter that's sent in by Team City. Actually, no, this is a good thing. This is how you should do it. I did it right. Yay for me. Okay, so what we do here in this case is we need to change the IP address that we're deploying the website to. And we can easily do that by locating our properties. So I'm going to go into this project, and I'm going to select parameters. And I'm going to say here, and I'm going to change this IP address to the new IP address that I have, which is there. So yes, this is actually exactly how you should do it. The configuration for where to deploy things to should be within Team City itself. Anyway, let's go ahead and run the deploy website again. It should run a little faster. I think it will do a repackage actually, if I'm not mistaken, but that process should be fairly quick. Yeah, one possible way to do the configuration thing would be... Ah, come on. Team City just hates me today. The error code was access to the path. Websites have a... looks like I have a permissions issue. Well, I think what I'm going to do here is this ASP.NET client thing is irrelevant. I'm just going to remove it entirely. I don't know why it exists here, but if you ever see this ASP.NET Client thing, you can just nuke it. It had nothing in it anyway. The reason why it was throwing an error was because the permissions weren't set up properly on that folder, and it was trying to delete that folder to synchronize it with the build package. And again, you guys shouldn't be running into these issues. These issues have only came about because I did a reinstall on my computer. But yeah, as far as configuration goes, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the configuration files live within this right here, this project that's underneath the source folder, and then use a build step to perform the transformation. Okay, our website was deployed. Let's go ahead and deploy our Photon servers. So this should succeed because this, I believe, does an X copy. Oh no, it does an MS deploy, but it does so to a local file. So the IP address of the server is irrelevant. Okay, so we built... Actually, I don't think I ever set up unit testing on this build and test. Maybe we can fix that in the next video. While it's deploying the Photon server, I want to actually see... we do a build step. Yeah, we actually don't do testing. That name is a lie right there. It should just be named build. But maybe in the next video we'll set up unit testing from within TeamCity, now that we actually have unit tests we can run. Okay, Photon servers were deployed. Now let's deploy our launcher. Now, I don't believe we made any changes to our launcher, but we did make changes to our base project. They shouldn't affect anything, but for good measure, I think I will go ahead and deploy the launcher. And that's going... It's actually... The launcher might take a few seconds to deploy because it has to hit the server, and the server hasn't yet been spooled up yet. So, we'll wait for the server to the web server, I mean. So the website has to restart. The application pull needs to come up again. So we have 4 seconds left, although that could be a lie. We'll see if it's a lie here in 4 seconds. And it is a lie. Nah, just give it a sec. Like I said, the ASP.NET site has to spool up. It's never a fast process. Okay, so our launcher is deployed. Now our client. And our client will actually take a little bit amount of time because it has to spool Unity up in order to actually perform the compilation. I think this is the biggest thing right here, the deploying the client, because this will make sure that our whole thing where we have that shared project, the buzzmmo.client.unity, is actually getting built properly in our build environment. I seem to recall having issues with that before when I set this up a while ago, and we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. Oh yeah, by the way, just hitting refresh over and over and over again makes it go faster. Just letting you guys know. And we got success. Okay, so at this point, I should be able to go to this site. And let's go ahead and log in if I can remember any of the credentials that I used here. Admin test maybe? Admin maybe? Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and download the launcher. Launcher.zip is not commonly downloaded and could be dangerous. Yeah, I'll decide that myself. Alright, so I'm loading the launcher up. Right now I'm just going to extract it into a folder on my computer. I'll do that off screen here. We'll go ahead and extract it. And rename it. Alright. So, let's go ahead and launch it and see what happens. Logging in. Invalid username and password. What was my password? Oh, there we go. Extracting client, launching client. Let's hit play, and that, of course, went to full screen. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me go ahead and close that out there and try to launch it again. Windowed. Let's just go down to 640 by 480. Oh, well, this is going to be problematic. I can't see the log. Actually, I can. I'm going to wait a second here. I'll close this out. I'll open up client, BuzzMMO data, and I'll grab the output log and use Notepad. And so this is the output log right here. And hey, look at that. Client test 46, client test 48, client test 50, 52. So it connected to something. And it couldn't have been my development computer because I don't have Photon running. Yep, and then we disconnected right after we closed. And let's see, we connected right here, right before we started this whole debug process. So yeah, I would say that was a success. Let me go ahead, and I did actually have an older version of the BuzzMMO launcher in that folder I extracted to. Let me go ahead and make sure it updates right, because we updated the launcher and the client. So this is an old version of the launcher. It just updated the launcher, good. See if it updates the client. Yep, updates the client, and then it launches. And let's let it launch. Give it a couple seconds to do the whole back and forth between the server thing. Close it out. Go to client, data, output log. And we got a connection. So remember, if you, this is the server actually sending information to the client. So it goes up to 100 if you recall. But yeah. That's actually really cool because basically right now, with just a little bit of fiddling with our deploying of the website, we were able to completely update everything to its current version, grab the latest version through the launcher, and everything just magically worked. So yeah. Okay, so at this point, next video we might be looking at putting together the configuration options for the client so that we can have different environments for our client to be in the text file. Or we'll take a look at actually finishing our client implementation. Because if you recall, our systems operation writer doesn't yet handle IRPC responses yet. So we'll have to go ahead and make sure we do that. But I think this pretty much wraps this video up, and we'll see you guys in a later video.